Hey there, and welcome. So, if you're watching this, chances are you're holding a temporary partner visa, and you're right on the home stretch of your journey to making Australia your permanent home. You've come so far, and this explainer is all about getting you over that final finish line. So you're living here in Australia, you've got your Subclass 820 visa, and you're probably thinking, okay, what's next? How do you make that leap from temporary to permanent? Well, you're in the right place, because that's exactly what we're going to break down today. All right, to make this super clear, here's what we're going to cover. First, we'll nail down what the 81 visa actually is. Then, we'll get to the good stuff, your rights as a resident. After that, we'll walk through the actual process, talk about the important rules for bringing family with you, and finally, we'll look ahead to your future here in Australia. So, first things first, let's get crystal clear on the goal you've been working towards for so long. What exactly is this visa you're waiting for? The Subclass 801 is basically the second and final stage of your partner visa application. You know, you did all the hard work up front when you applied for the combined temporary 820 and permanent 801 visas. Well, this is it. The 801 is the final thumbs up that makes your stay indefinite. It's the visa that lets you officially, finally call Australia home for good. Now we know what it is, but let's talk about what it actually means for you and your life here. Because getting this visa isn't just about a stamp or a number. It's the key that unlocks a whole new world as a permanent resident. So what does that life really look like? This is a real game changer. You get the freedom to live, work, and study anywhere you want in Australia with no restrictions. You get access to Medicare, our public healthcare system, which is a huge peace of mind. You can even start sponsoring other eligible family members. And of course, the big one, this visa puts you on the direct path to applying for Australian citizenship if that's your ultimate goal. And here it is, the most important part of all. Let me say it again. This visa is permanent. It is not temporary. There are no more relationship assessments, no more major hoops to jump through after this. The day your 801 visa is granted, you are officially a permanent resident of Australia. Now, of course, with all these incredible rights comes a responsibility. And the main obligation is really straightforward. You, and anyone else included on your visa, just have to respect and follow the laws of Australia. It's really the foundation of being a part of the community here. Okay, so we know what it is and what it gets you, but how do you actually get from that temporary 820 visa to the permanent 801? Let's get into the nitty-gritty of the process. And let's kick things off with some absolutely fantastic news. The cost for this final stage, zero. A big, fat zero. That's because you already paid for the whole shebang, both the temporary and permanent visas when you first applied. Now, you might have some small costs for new police or health checks if they're needed, but that main hefty visa fee is already taken care of. All right, let's get this timeline straight, because this is super important. You become eligible for the permanent visa 2 years to the day after you first lodged your combined application. So, once you hit that 2-year anniversary, the Department of Home Affairs can start that final assessment to hopefully grant you your permanent visa. Now, you've probably seen the published processing times, but it's really important to know they're just a guide. You know, things can sometimes take longer, and honestly, the most common reasons for a delay are usually pretty simple things, like a form wasn't filled out quite right or a document was missed. The real key here is just to be as thorough and accurate as you possibly can to avoid those kinds of preventable delays. Okay, let's talk about something that's a huge deal for a lot of you, your kids. The rules here can be pretty specific, so let's break them down and make them really clear. Let's start with the most common situation. What if you've had a baby since your temporary visa was granted? Well, good news, this one is pretty straightforward. You just need to let the Department of Home Affairs know by giving them the birth certificate, and they'll add your new little one to your permanent visa application. Now, for an older dependent child who wasn't on your original application, it's a bit more of a process. First, that child needs to get their own special visa, called a dependent child visa, Subclass 445. They also have to be in Australia when you add them. Then you'll need to fill out a specific form, Form 1002, and attach it to your online IMI account, you know, that online portal you use, and then give the department a heads up. So you get that email, you open it up, and your visa has been granted. Wow, it's such an incredible moment. But after the celebration, what actually happens next? Let's look at the practical side of your new life as a permanent resident. One of the best perks of permanent residency is the absolute freedom to travel. Your new visa comes with a 5-year travel facility, and that clock starts ticking the day it's granted. This means for 5 years, you can leave and come back to Australia as many times as you like. It gives you total flexibility to visit family or just see the world. Okay, so what happens when those 5 years are up? This is a super important point, so listen up. Your permanent residency itself, it never expires. You can stay in Australia forever, but your permission to travel back into Australia does. So if you want to travel overseas and come back after that 5-year mark, you'll need to get a simple renewal called a resident return visa, or an RRV. And one last thing, a quick modern-day update. Don't wait by the mailbox for a physical sticker to put in your passport. Those days are long gone. Your visa is completely digital. It's electronically linked to your passport. You can check all its details and conditions anytime you want online using the government's VIVO system. That's VEVO, which stands for Visa Entitlement Verification Online. And that brings us to the end. Getting the Subclass 801 visa, it's a massive achievement. It's the end of a long, long wait. It's the secure foundation for the rest of your life here. So the only question left is, what are you going to build on it? For a lot of people, the very next chapter is Australian citizenship. What will yours be?